review of Bohr diagrams and Lewis structures. So first, before you can do a Bohr diagram or a Lewis structure, you got to know protons, neutrons, electrons. So how many protons does neon have? 10. How many neutrons?
Don't know yet.
10.
10. You got to do 20 minus 10, and that's 10. How many electrons? 10. That comes from the atomic number. All right, now that we know protons, neutrons, and electrons, now we can do a Bohr diagram. Now look, when you're doing Bohr diagrams, I have you do a little bit extra in the Bohr diagram just because I want you to know the placement of all the parts. So the way I taught you originally is in the middle of a Bohr diagram, because in the middle of the atom is the nucleus, I want you to put the protons and the neutrons, because the protons and the neutrons are what make up the nucleus, right? Okay? Alright, so I'm going to start my Bohr diagram with my protons and neutrons in the nucleus. So I've got 10 protons, 10 neutrons. And that's not originally in a Bohr diagram. If you see them, like if you Google images of Bohr diagrams, you're not going to see this, but I make you put it here to get in your head that the protons and neutrons are in the nucleus. Okay? And so what is around the protons and neutrons?
The electrons.
The electrons. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the electron layers. I told you the electrons are in layers around the nucleus. So we're going to start with the first layer. And how many electrons can the first layer hold?
2.
Can hold 2. All right, so I'm going to put 2 electrons. It can't hold any more than 2, so I can't put any more than 2 in the first layer. But how many electrons do I have total? 10. Well, I've had 10. I've used 2. How many do I have left? 8. Where do they need to go?
On the second layer.
On the second level. How many electrons can the second level hold?
8.
8. All right. So I'm going to draw a second layer, and I'm going to put 8 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, now I've used up all the electrons I have, and I'm at 0. So I'm where I want to be here. This outer level of electrons is called valence electrons. My outer electrons are called valence electrons. That number is important because that number is what you use to do the Lewis structure. Okay, so I'm going to erase this. This is my Bohr diagram. So I've got 8 valence electrons. Let me write that out. 8 valence electrons. So now I want to do the Lewis structure. Alright, so when I do a Lewis structure, it's also called an electron dot diagram. I'm going to draw the symbol. What's my symbol for neon?
Ne.
Ne. So I'm going to draw Ne. And how many valence electrons did I have?
8.
I have 8 valence electrons. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I need 8 dots around neon. Notice I tried to do 2 on top, 2 on bottom, and 2 on each side. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do neon and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't want to see that. Okay? Another thing I don't want to see is if I have neon, I don't want to see them stacked like that. Okay? We don't do that either. Alright? This is the format we want our dots to be in. Okay? Now, let's do another one. Let's do phosphorus. So, how many protons do I have in phosphorus?
15.
15. 15 electrons, because that comes from our atomic number. How many neutrons?
16.
I round this, that rounds to 31. 31 minus 15 gives me 16. So I've got my protons, my neutrons, and electrons set. So now I'm going to start on my Bohr diagram. And the first thing I'm going to do is start on my nucleus. What 2 things are in the nucleus?
Protons and
Protons in the
Protons and neutrons. So 15p, 16n. Alright? And look, we're fixing to get all fancy. Let's draw us a nice little circle there. Make that our, let's see. Make that our first layer. Oh.
Fancy.
All right, so how many electrons can go in that first layer?
Two.
Two electrons. So I'm gonna draw 2 electrons. 1, 2. All right. How many do I have total though?
15.
I have 15 total.
I was at 13.
15. I've used 2. I'm at 13. Now I don't care that you show this. I'm just showing this so you can see where my thinking is coming from. All right. So what do I need to do? Since I can't put but 2 in the first layer, I got to go to a second layer. All right, so I need another circle. All right, so that's my second layer. How many electrons can go in the second layer?
8.
8. And I have more than 8 to put in there, so I'm going to put 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I've used 8. How many do I have left?
5.
I have 5 left. Where do they need to go?
On the third layer.
On the third layer. So I need another circle. All right. So I'm going to move this over here. Can 5 fit on that circle?
Yes.
Yes. All right. 5 can fit on that circle. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're not going to go past the third layer in this class. Okay, we're stopping at the third layer. There's 7 total, but we're going to stop at the third with our drawings. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many, so minus 5, that gives me 0. How many valence electrons do I have?
5.
5, because that's how many are on my outer layer. Valence electrons are on that outer layer. So I'm going to make a note of that. 5 valence electrons. So now I'm going to come down and I'm going to do my Lewis structure. What do I need for my Lewis structure?
You
The
need
symbol.
Need the symbol.
And
how many valence did I have?
5.
5. So I need 5 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Questions? No.